Welcome to Just the Battles, the side series where we take some of the stronger fully evolved Pokémon and rank them on their own merit. Today in the Just the Battles gauntlet we have Tyranitar. A pseudo-legendary with a base stat total of 600, it's perfect to run the Just the Battles gauntlet. Tyranitar has a unique type combination being Rock Dark. This gives Tyranitar a total of 6 weaknesses, including a 4x weakness to fighting. However, we do also have 6 resistances and an immunity to psychic type moves. Tyranitar will make an appearance on the main leaderboard in the new year when we'll start with a Larvitar, but for now we're going straight in for the big guns and starting with Tyranitar. And just before we start, if you do enjoy yourself, please do make sure to like, comment and subscribe, as it really does help out smaller channels like myself and make us grow just that little bit more. And with all that out of the way, let's take a little look at the stats of our Tyranitar. As always, we start at level 5 and we have 26 in HP, which is really good for this point in the game. We're holding a berry and our moves are Bite, Leer, Sandstorm and Scratch. 19 in attack, 17 in defense, 16 in the specials and 12 in speed. And with all that out of the way, I will now show you just the battles. As Rival 1 is inconsequential, we'll skip him and go straight to Falkner. Falkner is a flying type leader and he leads with Pidgey. Pidgey goes down in a grand total of 2 bites and we are already on to Pidgeotto. We bite the Pidgeotto and Pidgeotto does have a super effective Mud Slap, which threw a little bit of a spanner in the works, but we took it down in just 2 bites when they connected. Zephyr Badge in hand in a time of 5 minutes and 45 seconds, let's move on to Bugsy. We're in a bit of a weird situation with Bugsy because we're both super effective against each other. However, a bite takes out the Metapod, we start a Sandstorm so that we can chip away at the Scyther a little bit later on, and a bite takes care of the Kakuna. Now we're on to the Scyther. Scyther starts to Fury Cutter, which is super effective against us. However, a combination of Bite and Sandstorm and the Scyther is knocked out, no issue at all, and a time of 13 minutes and 43 seconds to get the Hive Badge. So now let's move on to Rival number 2. He leads with a Ghastly and we have Bite to take care of it in just 1 shot. Out comes his Croconaw, and Croconaw does have a super effective move with Water Gun. However, we are bulky enough to take a couple of Water Guns and knock out the Croconaw in 3 bites. That just leaves the Zubat, who also has a super effective move in Leech Life, but it is so pathetic in Generation 2 that it barely touches us, and we can move on to Whitney. Whitney is Gym Leader number 3, and she will lead with Clefairy. Clefairy has Metronome and uses Water Gun, which is very annoying. We took a little bit of damage there, and we are on to the Miltank. We don't resist Rollouts, which is a little bit dangerous because Rollouts does build, but we get a lucky critical hit to knock out the Miltank, and we already have the Plane Badge. Time of 21 minutes and 7 seconds, it's Rival number 3 time. Rival 3 is where the Rivals team starts to fall apart a little bit. We Rock Slide the Haunter to take it down in 1 shot and out comes the Croconaw. We bite the Croconaw and flinch it, it uses Water Gun to deal 16 damage and we knock it out on the very next turn. Magnemite's out and we don't really have anything super effective against the Magnemite. However, Sonic Boom will only do 20 damage and we have more than enough HP to tank it. We miss our Rock Slide against the Zubat, but we hit through the Confusion to knock it out and we have defeated Rival 3 already. Let's move on to Morty, and this is where our slow speed might come to bite us in the bum. We're starting off against the Ghastly and we can bite the Ghastly to take it down in 1 shot. Out comes Haunter. I've attached the Quick Claw just to try and outspeed some of the Pokemon here. We do manage to outspeed Haunter number 2 and we are on to the Gengar. Gengar likes to send Pokemon to sleep, but in this instance uses Shadow Ball instead. Shadow Ball isn't very effective and we manage to knock it out and get through Morty without great pain. However, the next gym leader is Chuck, and we have a 4 times weakness to his moves. If we'd have had access to Thunder Punch, this would have been an awful lot easier. However, we are stuck without it, so we're just going to have to brute force this battle. We have Thrash at this point as our strongest move, and it really doesn't help much at all. A single Dynamic Punch knocks us out, so we're just going to have to play roulette with Chuck and hope that eventually Dynamic Punch misses enough times. We are through the Primeape again and we're back onto the Poliwrath. We hit it with a Thrash, we get confused through Thrash and hit ourselves in confusion, but Dynamic Punch misses enough times for us to knock out the Poliwrath and get the Storm Badge. That means we can move on to Price and his Ice-type gym. He does of course have a couple of Water types in there as well, so we aren't at a full advantage. However, we can just bite the Seal to take it down in 2 shots, and out comes the Piloswine. He sends out Piloswine second because it's part ground type and that will resist our rock moves, but we still knock it out in 2, and out comes the Dugong. Aurora Beam does next to nothing at all and we knock it out with a Rock Slide. That's Price all done and dusted. Let's move on to Janine. She's a Steel type leader and she will lead with Magnemite. I have taught Fire Punch for this battle because even though we are a physical attacker, our special attack is still very good, and after punching the Magnemite in the mouth we can do the same to Steelix. Iron Tail misses and we are in healing range on the Steelix, so just 2 Fire Punches later and we have knocked it out. Final Magnemite comes out, we knock it out, we grow to level 35 and we have beaten her in a time of 46 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's move on to rival number 4, and this really is where his team becomes a bit of a shambles. He starts with Golbat, we Rock Slide the Golbat to take it down in one shot, and here comes Feraligatr. We Rock Slide as he Water Guns for negligible damage, and we knock it out in 2. Next Pokemon out is Magnemite and we still have Fire Punch, so it gets a punch around the chops and goes down. Here comes Sneasel, we Fire Punch instead of Rock Sliding and that could have been a mistake. However, Rock Slide isn't 100% accurate. And the final Pokemon is Haunter. We Bite the Haunter to take it down and we have defeated rival number 4, Blink and you will miss it. Here comes Claire. Claire is a Dragon type leader and she has 3 Dragonair to contend with. We use Return against the first Dragonair and our massive attack knocks it out in 1. Here comes Kingdra. Kingdra does have Surf but uses Smokescreen on the first turn. We miss our next return and Surf does hit to do a lot of damage, however we knock it out with another return. We do outspeed the next Dragonair and knock it out in 1, but then we miss against the final Dragonair, we get paralysed. But we do manage to break through the paralysis to knock it out in another return, and we have defeated Claire. Time of 1 hour, 2 minutes and 22 seconds for the badge. Rival 5, the final rival fight of this game, and we are starting with Sneasel this time. Rock Slide on the Sneasel takes it out in 1, and out comes Feraligatr. At this point, Feraligatr still only knows Water Gun, and it is pathetic to put it lightly. We take it down in 2 shots and we are on to the Golbat. We use Rock Slide against the Golbat to knock it out, and here comes Magneton. We have Earthquake from Victory Road at this point and knock it out in just 1 shot. Kadabra has a Crunch waiting for it, and it's crunch time for Kadabra as it goes down. Here comes Haunter and it's very much the same. Haunter goes down in 1 and we have defeated rival number 5. So we say goodbye to the rival for yet another run. We can now say thank you to our HM friends. We say thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck and to Paris. Didn't get much screen time, but they have been a great help in the region. Now let's take a look at our stats. We're level 48 with 182 in the HP department. Our moves are Return, Rock Slide, Crunch and Earthquake. We're holding the pink bow. 164 in attack, 141 in defense, 125 in special attack, 130 in special defense and 93 in speed. So we can hit hard, but we are very slow. First up in the Elite Four is Will, and he's a Psychic type trainer, which is a bit of a shame really, because that means this should be a very easy ride because of our Dark typing. We knock out his first couple of Pokemon, and Executor stands no chance whatsoever either. Jinx is no match for us either and goes down to another Crunch. Final 2 Pokemon left. Slowbro comes out. Slowbro is slow and bulky, but not bulky enough as we knock him out, and the final Pokemon is Xatu. Xatu uses a quick attack, but we are quicker at knocking it out, and we have defeated Will. Time of 1 hour, 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Let's move on to Koga. Koga is a poison type specialist and leads with an Ariados. Return makes light work of the Ariados and we knock it out in 1. Let's move on to Fortress. Fortress can be a little bit pesky because it is so bulky, as we found out in our own run of it, but 3 Earthquakes is all it needs to get knocked out, and we can move on to some simpler Pokemon. Muck rarely gets OHKO'd, but our huge attack does OHKO the Muck in this instance. I misclick and use Earthquake against the Crobat, but I make up for it on the very next turn, and a Rock Slide knocks it out. That just leaves Venomoth. We use a Rock Slide against the Venomoth to take it down, and we have defeated Koga in a time of 1 hour, 10 minutes and 58 seconds. Up next is Bruno, and Bruno is dangerous for us. We don't really have anything that's super effective against fighting type Pokemon, and Machamp is very bulky. The first 2 Pokemon are mere formalities, and here comes Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan has Muck Punch, which normally doesn't deal too much damage, but our 4 times weakness to fighting is showing. We knock out the Onyx and we're only on 131 HP as the Machamp comes out. We don't OHKO, and we get knocked out. We have to reset a few times once more and we are back again. This time we don't knock out the Hitmontop in 1 shot, but we are able to use an Earthquake to knock it out while it's underground. Here comes Hitmonlee, there goes Hitmonlee, and Hitmonchan then does the same thing, dealing a little bit more damage on us with its Mach Punch. Onyx is a formality because we have Earthquake, which is super effective, and we're back onto the pesky Machamp. We hit it with Return to take it into the yellow. Cross Shot misses in this instance, and that gives us the in we need to finish off Bruno and get a time of 1 hour 14 minutes and 12 seconds. Karen's next, and Karen can be very pesky because she can reduce your accuracy, and if that wasn't bad enough, she can also paralyze you. We get the accuracy drop off the Umbreon. We start to use Return on the Vileplume, but we do get paralyzed. Vileplume uses Moonlight and locks into a super effective move, and I think enough of that, let's try again. We return against the Umbreon and Sand Attack fails. That means that when we're able to hit, at least every move will hit. We return against the Vileplume to take it deep into the red, and we are paralysed once more. However, I think just being paralysed without the accuracy drop is fine, so we can move on to Gengar. Gengar makes our life easier by cursing and cutting its HP in half. We are fully paralysed against the Murkrow and take some curse damage. Feint Attack does barely anything though, and a Rock Slide clips its wings off, and we are on to Houndoom. We Earthquake on the Houndoom to knock it out, and we have defeated Karen in a time of 1 hour 15 minutes and 33 seconds. Lancelot is next, and we have the type advantage over him because he is a flying type trainer. So what we will do is we will start with a Rock Slide on the Gyarados. We knock out the Gyarados in one, and we are on to Dragonite. Dragonite number 1 goes down in much the same way. Here comes Dragonite number 2. It's the level 51, so this one cannot paralyze us, but we still knock it out in one. Here comes the second paralyzing Dragonite, and there it goes in the blink of an eye. Charizard's next, 4 times weak to rock, so that doesn't stand a chance. And the final Pokemon is Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl outspeeds us and rock slides us before we give it one back. We knock it out, and we have defeated Lance in a time of 1 hour 16 minutes and 31 seconds, and our league time is 1 hour 16 minutes and 51 seconds. Don't go away, Kanto is next. And we rejoin in the Pokemon Center as we are welcoming back our HM friends. We say thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and to Paris. Let's move on to Kanto. First leader is Erica. She is a Grass-type leader, and she will lead with a Tangela. Now, Tangela has a nasty habit of sending Pokemon to sleep just like this. And we are weak to Giga Drain, so we just have to make sure this is a very short nap. In this instance though, we get perilously close to being knocked out. Another Giga Drain takes us into the red with 37 HP, but we wake up, knock out the Tangela, and we can finally move on to the Victory Bell. Much easier time with the Victory Bell as a single return knocks it out, and here comes Blossom. We don't Oko the Blossom, but it takes in Sunlight, and that's all we need to knock it out and get onto the final Pokemon. Jumpluff is weak to Rock Slide, so we knock out the Jumpluff, and we've defeated Erica in a time of 1 hour 22 minutes and 42 seconds. We have a type disadvantage against Misty because she is a water-type trainer. However, we outspeed the Golduck to knock it out with one return. Here comes Quagsire. Quagsire doesn't put up any resistance as we knock it out with a return as well. Lapras is a little bit pesky and we miss our first Rock Slide. Second one connects and we are on a clock. We've got to knock out this Starmie in 2 shots. We outspeed the Starmie, we have Crunch for it, and we knock it out. Time of 1 hour 26 minutes and 46 seconds for Misty. Sabrina is next up on the chopping block, and this one should be easy. We are immune to Psychic type attacks, so the worst she could do is reduce our accuracy. That doesn't happen with the Espeon though, and we are moving on to the Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime gets crunched away, and the final Pokemon is Alakazam. She wastes her turn using Reflect. Crunch is special in this generation, and we knock it out to defeat Sabrina. We have got the badge in a time of 1 hour 27 minutes and 56 seconds. Let's move on to Surge. We have Earthquake for Surge's Pokemon, but we're going to start with Return on the Raichu. We get a critical hit to knock it out, and here comes Electrode. We outspeed the Electrode because we're 17 levels higher, and we're on to Magneton. Magneton is 4 times weak to ground, so goes down very easily. Here comes Electrode number 2. Doesn't put up any resistance and goes down, and the final Pokemon is Electabuzz. Electabuzz says no thank you, gets knocked out, and we have defeated Surge in a time of 1 hour 29 minutes and 27 seconds. Brock is next, and we are both Rock-type trainers in this instance. However, we have Earthquake. Earthquake knocks out the Graveler, and we can move on to Rhyhorn. Earthquake does the same on the Rhyhorn to take it out in one. Here comes Omastar. We outspeed the Omastar, and that is great because Omastar does have a type advantage over us, and the same thing happens with Kabutops. Kabutops says goodbye, and his final Pokemon is Onyx. We knock out the Onyx in 1 shot, and we have defeated Brock. Let's move on to Blaine. Blaine should be very easy because we have the type advantage once again. He will lead with Magcargo. Magcargo is 4 times weak to ground, just like Magneton, and it gets knocked out in one Earthquake. We have Earthquake or Rock Slide for the other 2 Pokemon. I use Earthquake just because it's a little bit more reliable. Rapidash goes down, as does the Bumhead Fireduck, and we have beaten Blaine at a time of 1 hour 32 minutes and 23 seconds. Up next is Janine. Janine is a Poison type specialist and lead with Crobat. We learn from our mistake with Koga and knock it out on the very first shot, and here comes Weezing. No Levitate for Weezing in this generation, so the Weezing 1 gets knocked out, as does Weezing number 2. That just leaves 2 Pokemon left, and they are both going to be weak to our Rock-type moves, so we Rock Slide on the Spider to get rid of it in one shot, and out comes the Moth. We use a Rock Slide on the Venomoth to take care of it, and we have defeated Janine in a time of 1 hour 33 minutes and 8 seconds. Final gym leader is Blue. He will lead with a Pidgeot, which is perfect for us, because we are a Rock-type Pokemon. So we use Rock Slide on the Pidgeot, and we knock it out in one shot, and out comes Rhydon. We have Earthquake for Rhydon, and we manage to take it deep into the yellow. An Earthquake does a lot of damage back on us though, but we knock it out on our very second hit, and here comes Gyarados. Gyarados gets knocked out with a single Rock Slide because it is super effective against the Gyarados. And next up is Executor. We have the perfect move for Executor with Crunch, and we knock it out in one. Arcanine is next. We use Earthquake because of its higher reliability to knock it out in one shot, and the final Pokemon is Alakazam. Unfortunately, Alakazam uses the same strategy as Sabrina's and gets knocked out. We've defeated Blue in a time of 1 hour 34 minutes and 24 seconds. We unlock Mount Silver from Professor Oak, and that means we can get ready for our final battle, because we just have Red left to go. He will start with his Pikachu, and here is where our low speed really does work against us, because Pikachu outspeeds and we are a physical attacker. We get through the Pikachu in this instance though, and we are on to Venusaur. We're in the slow experience group, and being 17 levels lower than Venusaur means we stand no chance of knocking out the Pokemon after it, which is of course Blastoise. We are weak to 2 of Red's Pokemon, and this is an issue. We grow to level 63 and we try again. We Earthquake against the Pikachu and we are back onto Venusaur. This time we use Return once more as it takes in Sunlight, but we're still not dealing over half damage, and we take a whopping load of damage from a Solar Beam. Giga Drain knocks us out. Let's level up even more. This time we are at level 66. We Earthquake the Pikachu to take it down in one shot. Out comes Venusaur. We've got the Quick Claw and we manage to outspeed with a Rock Slide as it takes in Sunlight. Solar Beam hits us though, and we are down onto 39 HP. We do make it back onto the Blastoise. We Rock Slide and take off roughly a third health, but we get knocked out by Surf. Let's try again, this time at level 70. Pikachu hits us with Thunder and we Earthquake it back to knock it out. Here comes Venusaur. We're still holding the Quick Claw and we use an Earthquake to take it into the yellow. We Quick Claw, but we don't get a good damage roll and we almost get knocked out. It's time for a change of strategy. By this point I'd been battling Red for around about 15 minutes and I was getting fed up. I didn't want to have to use the cursed strats, but I think this should have been the play all along. We swear like a trooper at Pikachu and then knock it out in a single return, and we are on to Venusaur with green health. Venusaur takes in Sunlight and we are able to OHKO it with a single return. Here comes Blastoise. Blastoise uses Rain Dance, which was a misplay for Blastoise because Return is powerful enough to knock it out. Espeon's next. We don't even bother using a Crunch against Espeon, and even with Reflect our Return is powerful enough to knock it out. We are now onto Snorlax. I used Rock Slide because I thought we would outspeed, but we are slower at this point because of Curse. We get hit by a critical hit Body Slam, but it does barely any damage at all, and we knock it out with another Rock Slide. And it's on to Charizard we go. Flamethrower deals barely anything at all because we resist it and it was raining. We miss our first Rock Slide, but our second one connects, and we have defeated Red in a time of 1 hour 48 minutes and 58 seconds. We could have been quicker if I'd have got out of my rut earlier, but still third place is very respectable, around about 10 seconds slower than Lapras. And with that, we are done. So I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this Just the Battles video. If you have, please do leave a like down below. If you've got anything at all to say, please do leave it in the comments below. I now have a Patreon at patreon.com/trainersquidgy, and if you've really enjoyed yourself, please do consider subscribing. Until next time though, I'll say thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.